you got to have HBO if you want to watch good TV, and you should be watching Winning Time, the newest Adam McKay, who just a few short months after his latest feature film, we're talking about his most recent television venture with Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty.
Yes.
Man, I mean, I was really pumped for this, just because this is right up, I think, both of our alleys. Probably yours a little bit more than mine, 'cause you're a bigger basketball guy than me. But I mean, Lakers, Showtime era back in the 80s.
Right. Late 70s into the 80s where we start.
It's just fun stuff. You're out in LA, everything that kind of comes with that. Amazing cast, which we'll get into, but obviously the first episode really centers around John C. Riley as Jerry Buss. And there's just a lot here. There's a lot here to talk about. I had a really great time with the first episode, The Swan, which was directed by McKay. He's an EP on the whole thing, but the next one is directed by Jonah Hill, which I'm excited to see how what he's going to do with that. So a lot of good stuff here. Also should probably note that this was based on a book of almost the same name from
Showtime.
Yeah,
they didn't want HBO didn't want to have a series called Showtime for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So, Dave, I mean, I love the first episode. I assume you're in the same boat, right?
Yeah, totally. I think it's a lot of fun, and that tone is really fun to be with. It's like a very excessive show in the sense that throwing a lot of stuff out at you. The characters are talking to the audience, breaking the fourth wall. Your title sequence is like, nonstop 70s imagery, right? Like it's a show that doesn't slow down at all, but it's just such a fun ride to be on. And like, I don't care if like anything might be like over the top or like drilled home too hard. It's just really fun stuff. So this, and obviously we got to see the whole thing, but like, I feel like this is a lot more in line with like what people used to think about Adam McKay before he got serious the past few movies. So even though he just is the EP on this, he didn't develop the show. I think it's just kind of like a home run thing to adapt into a series. Like it's just kind of obvious. Like obviously there's just so much material here in this story to make it into a fun show.
There's so much here, and what I really loved about the first episode, I mean, you mentioned some of the like fun character, like breaking the fourth wall and kind of like the wink wink at the camera a lot of the time, but I really like how it centers around like basically two characters while introducing a lot of the other big players. So it centers around Jerry Buss, played by John C. Riley, and Magic Johnson, who is about to be drafted by the Lakers in this episode, played by Quincy Isaiah. And first of all, Quincy Isaiah, for this being really his first big role, fantastic, I thought, and kind of gives off that magic air, that big smile, that charisma so well. But kind of like following those two while also like introducing what's going on with Kareem, with the other point guard there, Stormin Norman, is that it?
Yeah,
what his name is.
Norm Nixon.
Norm Nixon, yes.
Played by Norm Nixon's real life son, Devon Nixon, who has actually been an actor. Yeah. In general, most of the players are played by like the less famous people on this big sprawling cast. Mm-hmm. But yeah, obviously it's all Magic, all Jerry in the first episode.
Yeah, and seeing Jerry kind of figure out how he's going to pull off this purchase and like his vision for the team while in this time of transition with the other owner, and how he is like the interaction with his business partner and all that. It was just really fun. I really loved like how the name of the episode is The Swan, and that part in the episode I thought was great because you kind of see Jerry potentially like losing this business deal, and he explains like swans look so graceful on top of the water, but underneath they're paddling like hell. And it's kind of like him playing poker at the table with this guy and pulling on like calling him out. Yeah, Jack Cook, and calling him out every step of the way. I just thought that whole scene was just really, really well done. My one negative is I thought the scene between Magic and Norm Nixon, where they were playing basketball, I didn't think it was really that great at basketball, which is always hard to like I think show on screen. And of course, like they're also at a party. They're not like actually like playing a game or anything like
Yeah,
that.
they're
But I
wearing
just was
like
like,
pants.
yeah, I just was kind of like, eh. I'm not convinced that these two are professional basketball
Yeah.
players, but
I'll
really,
wait till we
like
see more
besides the
basketball
point.
scenes before judging. But yeah,
Yeah,
you want the basketball to look good, and I think that factored into why they cast less famous people because most people in Hollywood are on the shorter side of things.
yeah.
Just that's the way how it goes. So if you want someone to be Magic Johnson, to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they gotta look the part, let alone also be know how to act. So uh, TBD on the basketball, I'd say. But I mean, there's just so much more like to look forward to, right? Like we saw just in like flashback scenes, Red Auerbach as Michael Chiklis as Red Auerbach, the Celtics
Yeah,
coach, and we know uh, Adrian Brody will be coming in as Pat Riley
yeah.
later. It's just a crazy stacked cast. Jason Segel as Paul Westhead as well. Like
I
uh,
mean, we barely got to see any of Jason Clark as Jerry Weston. It was like maybe some of the best like 5 minutes of the whole
yeah,
episode.
just watching Jason Clark
Awesome
just
stuff.
curse up a storm is so funny. And but it makes complete sense too. Like and they explain it. Like I like how like they're doing a good job of I think accommodating the casual like basketball historian with this show. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, Jerry West lost to the Celtics 5 times in a row, but he
Mhm.
won MVP at the end, but they still lost. Like, a lot of people know that. But
Yep.
yeah, let's remind everyone. Oh yeah, by the way, Jerry West, that's him. That's the logo. That's where that came from. Like,
Mhm.
it's quick, but the context is never lost, and I think that's especially important because this is going to be a sprawling uh, sprawling story. Um,
Yeah.
but I think John C. Riley through one episode really captures that mystique, that persona that Dr. Buss had carried, and that's what he's always known for is this like larger than life guy that people really like, despite his many vices and all that stuff. So um, it's funny to think about the real world implications of this because the fallout between Adam McKay and Will Ferrell in
Mhm.
terms of the real life friendship. That fallout happened because Adam McKay didn't want to cast Will Ferrell as Dr. Buss in Winning Time, and instead he cast John C. Riley. But I got to say, John C. Riley really delivering so far.
Yeah.
So I think he made the right call.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to know that their friendship is on the rocks or not in a good place because of it. But yeah, I mean, John C. Riley, one of the best character actors, and I think
Right.
kind of the tone that the show is going for, he seems to fit that best. So you kind of understand McKay going there. Real quick, just kind of like looking through the cast and people we didn't even really mention all that much. You get down there, and Jillian Jacobs is going to be on the show as Pat Riley's daughter. It looks like, which is just kind of like a fun like throw in. Someone that has been in a couple of shows. Haven't heard from him a bit. Wood Harris going to be playing Spencer Haywood at one point, which we know Wood Harris can actually ball on screen, so that's kind of cool. Um, and like you mentioned, I think like you see Jason Segel eventually. There's a lot of people to look forward to here. I'm really I'm all in, and we didn't even mention Gabby Hoffman, who seems like she's going to have a
Right.
fairly decent role in this as well, and she was great
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah. She like
good
runs the
stuff.
I think the Gabby Hoffman character, Claire Rothman, I believe she like kind of like runs the forum and like does a lot of like the operations side of the Lakers and will be probably in a lot of scenes with Dr. Buss. So and she's great. So looking forward to that. And of course you get young Jeannie here as well. Of course, Jeannie Buss, the current owner of the Lakers. Dr. Buss has since passed. So um yeah, I think this is fun and I mean
Yeah.
it's just loaded with characters and personalities and famous cultural forces. So I'm glad to see that, like, at least through one episode, it definitely has a point of view on that story, and it definitely won't be boring.